All right, YouTube, we're getting right into the action tonight. $3,200 World Poker Tour Championship final table. We're picking it up right here. We got my man Pedro Marquez with the pocket aces going up against the world champion Ryan Riess, ace-king offsuit Ike. All the money gets them getting in here, right? Short stacks, 20 big blinds, aces versus ace-king. Even in its early position, all the money ends up getting all in,
money
right?
is going in.
Yeah. Pocket eights for Manig. Looks like he's going to be able to get away from this, too.
Yeah, it's a good fold.
Yeah, we got the world champ Ryan Riess here in the mix at the World Poker Tour Championship final table. This is a knockout event, so there's bounties on each player's head. So each player wins money right away as they knock someone out. Ike, you like that format, the bounties?
Yeah, it's a fun change of pace from the usual tournament. Makes things a little more complicated, a little more interesting sometimes.
Yeah, it changes things up. So Pedro, he gets 3-bet. Obviously, he's rock hard right now, rock poker hard. He's excited. He's never been this fired up. Anytime you're at a final table with over $200,000 for first place, plus another $200,000 in bounties, and you get 3-bet and you got aces, you're obviously feeling pretty happy about that. You're just hoping the guy doesn't fold because you have aces. What could he have here? But do you feel like people are pretty strong when they 3-bet here?
Yeah, I mean, especially in a bounty structure like this, covering the other guy where you're going to want to call it off if they stick it in. He's probably going to have something good and go with it against the shove.
Well, they do go with it. Aces versus ace-king. Ace is going to be up at risk here for Pedro Marquez. And Ryan Riess drawing dead immediately on the turn. So just like that, we see our first hand. And now Ryan Riess is going to be down to the short stack. He's been down to that 11 big blinds. But yeah, I appreciate everybody out there tuning in. This is the World Poker Tour Championship final tables. My name's Joe Ingram1, a.k.a. Chicago Joey. Join with me, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ike Hollywood Haxton. He's been battling in the highest stakes cash games this week. Last week, he did the final table show with us. This week, he's taking a break from all the battling. How's the high stakes action been going with you, Ike? I know you've been playing the 501K
Good.
Hold'em.
Yeah.
You said you were playing like 800, 16, 32, 64 PLO. Like you're playing some crazy games right now, brother. How's it been going?
Up and down, pretty close to even on the last week.
Pretty close to even on the last week. I mean, that's crazy, right? Because it could be like $1 million plus or minus kind of week for you, right?
Yeah, pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We appreciate you coming here doing commentary. We're going to be doing commentary for a lot of these World Poker Tour Championship final tables kind of happening here. So we're going to pick up this action, kind of point out a few guys. We already mentioned Ryan Riess, the World Series of Poker champion. He's also a really good follow on Twitter, Ike. If you follow him on Twitter, he always takes these beautiful family photos. He just had a newborn child. He's one of my favorite poker Twitter followers because he just kind of shares the family experiences, and whoever his photographer is quite an excellent photographer. We also have chip leader here, my man João Morelli from Brazil. So he won his seat he won like a $22 mini Masters tournament, and he got a free seat for this, and he's at the final table. So that's pretty cool. He's from Brazil. A few $100,000 in tournament earnings, but certainly not a professional at all. We got my man Manig Loeser over there. He's on the right-hand side. He, by far, it looks like, has the most experience and success in these tournaments. I always think of him as more of a quiet guy. You got any read on Manig, Ike?
I've been playing with Manig for a long time, and yeah, I don't know him all that well. He's been doing well at the highest stakes tournaments for a long time. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he puts on. I remember there was one big epic hand. I think he actually played against, maybe it was against Ryan Riess. I believe they might have played some epic hand. I'll be able to try to put the footage up here. And also, we're paying attention to our man Daniel Smyth. Daniel qualified into a $33 satellite. He's over there. He's at the Irish flag. And they've been doing a lot of these satellites. I mean, they're always giving away a lot of giveaways on Twitter, giving away on Instagram. They're basically like making people play these satellites, so they're a big part of the World Poker Tour and Party Poker strategy right now for filling up these events. So we're going to be paying attention to those guys right there. We also got Artur Martirosyan in the mix, who is one of the top tournament players right now. Would you say, Ike?
Yeah, young Russian guy has kind of just broken into the highest stakes tournaments this year, really. I think Sochi in, I guess it was February or so, was his first time playing like live 100Ks and stuff. But yeah, big up and coming tournament player.
Well, what's the thought when an unknown Russian guy sits down at your 100K table? Like, are you immediately thinking this guy knows what's going on, or because, I mean, you kind of see all the guys kind of come through?
I mean, when he's 22 or whatever Artur is, good chance that's a professional poker player.
That's true, right? So we just kind of saw right there, Ryan Riess had a nice double up there with a flush versus the two pair from Zhao. And Ike, listen, man, I got to take this hat off. You know, we're watching some Nolan Hold'em. I got to put the Nolan Hold'em hat on, make it official here, right? We're watching Texas Hold'em 2-card pot limit Omaha. We can't be wearing the Smiley, the regular podcast hat there, man. We got to put on the official hat. So let's get into this, man.
That's the Hold'em hat?
That's the Nolan Hold'em hat. Yeah. Does it not say Nolan Hold'em to you or what? Should we get you a hat? What do you think?
I probably need a hat. Yeah.
Get your hat mailed.
I don't have any hats handy. I'm not really much of a hat guy. But.
Well, dude, let's get into this action, brother. All right, so we got our Irishman, Mr. Daniel Smyth, with those nice glasses. He's going to 3-bet the ace-8 offsuit here versus Zhao, and Zhao's going to call out position with the 7-6 of hearts. They're pretty deep, about 30 big blinds. We got my man Shingas Satube EV, former final tabler already for one of these World Poker Tour Championship events. He's got the very short stack, 6 big blinds. So 3-bet by Daniel. Flop becomes King, Jack, Jack, and let's see what takes place here. What do you think about this play, this ace-8 offsuit? Nice hand to mix in as a 3-bet bluff, potentially?
It's pretty aggressive, especially in a bounty tournament when you're covered. I would mostly be looking to have a little bit better hand than that when I 3-bet, but it's only a little loose. It's still an ace with an okay kicker.
So he continuation bets, and Zhao has a backdoor flush draw. He's got 7-6. You guys are seeing that right. He has absolutely nothing right now. And this guy's a very aggressive guy. Like I said, these are edited down. This dude comes to play, all right? My man from Brazil is, he's going to min raise here, just about. So he makes it to 3.8. And not something we're used to seeing, not necessarily going to be a standard kind of raise here. But
yeah, they're both really going for it. I don't know that that's the guy I want to be 3-betting with ace-8.
Ike, I'm going to tell you right now. I was editing this last night, and the hands, I wasn't sure what I was seeing. I'm like, are these guys fucking like, you guys are kind of crazy, Ike. So we're going to see some wild hands. I'm telling you right now. This is just the start of the wild hands. Because I was like, I remember the last episode we didn't see that many, like, really wild hands, except at heads up. We saw those two battling. But this final table, something happened to these guys, and they decided that they were just going to go balls to the wall in some of these plays. So we're going to see how it goes.
All right.
Is that what happens in these bounties, these PKO, the progressive knockout tournaments, with the bounties up for grabs? The people.
Yeah, that can definitely drive the action sometimes. Yeah. Especially because it's less of a well understood format than a normal tournament, and people have different ideas about how you're supposed to approach the bounty, so
yeah, it makes sense. Well, we're going to see our man Shingas Satube EV, who we didn't get to see him much in the last episode I showed with him. He's going to be all in with King 8 offsuit, and he's going to need a backdoor 2-pair draw, a backdoor trip draw, and that's never a good thing when you need that, or he's going to be eliminated. He's obviously very short stacked here, 4 or 5 big blinds.
Not going to be seeing much more of him today either.
No, he's gone. That's it. Sorry, Shingas, you only got about 2 or 3 hands on the broadcast, and you made 2 final tables. I do apologize, my young Kazakhstan friend. Maybe next time it runs a little deeper, so he's going to be eliminated. So we can kind of see the payouts here. We didn't see the elimination of Matthias Resend. He took home 19K for last place. Shingas got 23K, and then Mateus got 13,000 with the bounties. We can kind of see the payouts here. 208K for each person at the top, but that first place is going to get about 200,000 in bounties, and second place gets about 70,000 in bounties. So these are some nice payouts for a $3,200 event, Ike.
Yeah, really big.
There's been a very popular Argentinian rapper named Papo MC who's been streaming his poker play on Party Poker to thousands of people while also freestyle rapping in between. I checked in with my Latin America correspondent, Pam Z, to figure out who exactly this guy is.
He is an Argentinian freestyler. He's champion from Argentina, rapping, and he is a poker player too. He's working now with Party Poker, creating content, especially on Twitch. And his channel has a huge audience with an average of viewers between 10 and 25K. Amazing. Part of the Enjoy Poker team, the sponsored players from Enjoy. Enjoy is the biggest casino here in Latin America. So the past 2 years, he was playing live, like the live circuits for Enjoy. So it was amazing. I think that he is a big personality in the poker world because he reached a lot of people from other parts of the not inside the poker world, you know. So he's trying to take people from, for example, Twitch, video games to poker too.
People, pegado por mi equipo, pegado por los reales, nunca motherfucking prototipos, aunque decían que no iba a llegar de chico y ahora aparezco.
If you're not familiar with PKOs, that payout structure might look a little weird with first and second getting the roughly the same payout, but that's how progressive bounty, progressive KO payout structures are generally set up, because whoever wins the tournament collects all of the remaining bounties at the end.
Okay.
So they're playing heads up for just the remaining bounty pool instead of any additional money from the prize pool.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so there is, it's not just each player gets the same amount, which some people might be thinking at home if they see those payouts, but there is a big difference between first and second in that situation. Yeah. So we got here Daniel Smyth, ace king of hearts, raises it up. Pedro, cold call, 6-5 suited, little tasty suited connector. And my man Pim over there is going to jam it in with the pocket jacks. And then Daniel with the ace king, he is, Pim's going to be the one at risk here. It's going to be a coin flip. Let's see if our satellite qualifier from Ireland can win this hand. He's going to need an ace or a king. 5-6, coincidentally enough, would have made trips there. River comes down. It's going to be a 9. And just like that, Daniel Smyth is going to be one of our short stacks. Pim's going to double up to 46 big blind, 18 million in chips. And Daniel is going to be on the short stack now. He's got about 10 big blinds. And it's not looking good for our satellite qualifier here, man. Those are pretty normal plays, right? Jacks versus ace king, 20 big blinds.
Yeah, standard cooler. And in the bounty format, when you have the jacks and you're covered, you don't have to worry so much about the opener folding to you, so you probably don't bother making a small 3-bet. You just stick it in and get called anyway.
Okay, well, you're going to have to explain some of these 3-bets we're going to see in this show, because these guys, I don't know what the hell is going on, but yeah, you're going to see what I mean here. So 7-8 suited raises it up from Ryan Riess, the world champ. King Jack offsuit for our man Archer on the short stack. He elects to just defend the big blind. I guess he could possibly reshove there, but it's just calling standard with the other short stack.
Calling better here.
Calling better, okay. So flop comes down 9-8-6. Ryan flops middle pair with the open end straight draw. He checks back instead of electing continuation bet.
Sure.
And turn's going to be a 3. So let's see. Arthur could lead here, or he could check.
Yeah.
I remember last time you said, we talked and you said yeah a lot, and then one of the first comments was Joey says something and then Ike goes, yep. we got some fun feedback from last week. It was nice.
Funny.
We appreciate all the comments up there in the chat. Please keep them coming. Let us know what you think, right? You know, last week was our first time ever really going back and forth on poker strats. So now I feel like we did pretty well for first time ever talking no limit hold'em tournament strategy together. So
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, this second time only going to be better here. So Artur leads the turn. Bad news, Ike, for Ryan Riess. Artur makes the king on the river.
Yeah.
And yeah. So Ryan plays that middle pair open and straight draw, a little tricky on the flop, just calls the small bet on the turn, and now the river, Artur's got to be, I mean, he's loving his hand now. I imagine he's just going to jam all in here, right?
That's what I would do.
Yeah. So if you're Ryan spot and your opponent jams here, your hand looks a little under-repped. Are you thinking about, is this maybe the weakest hand you're going to be calling with?
Yeah, it feels like a really close decision. I think can't really fault either a call or a fold here.
Right. So let's see what he elects to do here. I mean, when you do check back the 8, the turn's a 3, river's the king, you're basically scared of your opponent having a strong 9 or some type of king that had no pair potentially on the turn. So maybe you think I just have to call it a 7-8, especially when I check back the flop and my hand looks underrepresented.
Right. Ryan could, he could have a flush draw that he called the turn with, or really any ace high even. So he has an above average hand given how he's played it to this point, and couldn't blame him for calling. I don't think fold is crazy either.
Well, let's see what he does here. So about a pot size bet, 11 big blinds. He'll still be left with 15 big blinds, so he's still in the mix there.
And worth noting, he can collect a bounty if he calls and wins.
Oh, that's true. That's definitely true, right? We got to factor in those bounties. It's just a different format. And he does call, and unfortunately, he doubles up Artur. So he's going to double up Artur. Obviously, Artur's not the kind of guy you want to see with a bunch of chips. This is obviously a guy who knows how to close out final tables if he's feeling confident enough to play these high rollers, and with success he's had as well, too. That's definitely a guy you don't want to see with a lot of chips.
Right.
So Pedro gonna raise it up here with the king 5 offsuit. And now Ike, if you can guess what Pim does here, I'm gonna send you a hat. I'm gonna send you a nice hat. Okay. So what do you think Pim does here? Pedro makes a little bit of a min raise from the cutoff. Pim's got ace king offsuit in the big blind.
If I were Pim, what I would do is make it about 3 or 3.5 million.
Okay.
But I'm guessing it's going to be something more surprising than that. I think he might just go all in.
Oh no!
That wouldn't
Okay.
be totally crazy. If what he did is call, I'm going to be a little disappointed in Pim. And if I still haven't gotten the right answer, I'm going to be very confused.
What about fold? You think he might fold this hand?
I don't think he's going to fold.
Yeah, well, I got some news for you, Ike. He goes all in. Okay, he didn't fold. You're right. So he just jams in 40 big blinds. Ike, what the hell is this guy thinking here? What is?
I think what he's thinking is it's a bounty tournament, and I'm covered, and I can stick it in and get called pretty loose, and he just... Yeah,
Yeah,
wants
I don't know.
to
That's
either-
what I say.
wants to
Listen,
either
I mean, okay,
get it
I
in
don't
good
know.
pre-flop or win the hand and stay in the tournament. He doesn't want to.
Maybe he just
Have to
doesn't.
play a
He
pop
just,
post
yeah,
flop.
he's fine taking it down, right? Maybe ace king.
Yeah.
That happens, right? We see that sometimes.
I don't think that shove is the best play, but I don't think he has to be a lot shallower before it becomes reasonable.
Okay. To me, it just seems like it can't be the best default play. The guy raises the cutoff, you jam in 40 big blinds. To me, that doesn't mean maybe that is the play. I don't know. You know, you got ace king. How bad can it be? But
Yeah, I think you want to have... I think going all in for that amount is not unreasonable, but ace king is just a little bit too good. I think if he had ace queen or ace jack or
yeah, it makes sense.
sevens, that would be a very reasonable play.
Mm-hmm.
I think with ace king, you would prefer to just make a small 3-bet and put a little more pressure on your opponent to continue more often.
Makes sense. Yeah, this hand we're picking up, Pedro raised it up with the king queen offsuit. Zhao defended big blind king jack offsuit. Flop goes check check, and now Zhao is going to lead out here, so he leads out pretty small, 640 into about what 2.2. So that's about 1/3 pot bet with the king jack offsuit. What do you think about that bet?
I'd like to be a little more connected with the board to take a stab at this. You know, if he had king 10 or even king 5, I'd be happier about this play. It might be fine with king jack as well, but mostly I would just check this hand. It's harder for you to improve to a river that you can confidently value bet
So
with this than with a lot of other things you could stab with.
Yeah. So what you're kind of saying is that you want to have some connectivity to the board so that when you get called, you can improve your hand. Yeah. And I guess king jack could be one of those hands because you could hit a jack or a king, but you ideally want to have a 10 or a 5, which kind of gives you a gut shot straight draw as well too.
Yeah, I think that would be a slightly better hand to be stabbing the turn with, but it worked, you know.
I mean, he isn't
The other
risking
guy
that
had a
much,
better
right?
hand.
He's risking a 1.5 big blinds there to win the pot. So could be some more scenarios as well too. And maybe if you are going to stab, you want to stab in those kind of spots there versus like a multi-street bluff kind of thing. You know what I mean? So if you're going to be making bluffs, risking 1.5, you get called on the turn, you potentially give up on the river. It doesn't cost you too much.
Sure, yeah.
Our man Daniel Smyth here. He's down to 5 big blinds. Let's see what he does. Artur, ace-3 suited, makes the min raise. Daniel, I mean, king-8 offsuit, 5.7 big blind. Is this the spot? No full equity. Is this the spot? I don't
think this would be the spot for me. I think he needs a little bit better to stick it in here.
Yeah, it would seem that way, right? Just a little bit better. I get it, king-8. You got the king-high card. Of course, Artur, maybe a more aggressive player, but it's kind of a gamble. And here he's tanking a long time, Mike, so he's definitely kind of thinking about this at home.
Yeah.
He's saying, do I want to do it? King 8, I qualified in. And he does. He 3-bets essentially all in. So he's going to be 37% here. He's going to need a king or an 8. or straight, or diamonds. Flop comes down king 4-5, so he flops top pair, but Artur has the nut flush draw with the gutter.
Artur's still a favorite here.
Yeah, Artur's still a favorite. He's got top pair, but he's a 45% underdog. They're slower. Turns a 3, so Artur picks up a little more outs. He needs a 3, deuce, ace, or spade here to knock out Daniel Smyth. The river's a 6, and somehow he misses everything, and Daniel Smith's going to double up. He's still alive, 14 big blinds. If you're interested in qualifying for these $3,200 events or some of the smaller events in the World Poker Tour Series, next weekend they're doing a massive satellite event. 100 guaranteed seats for the mini main event, $1,000 buy-in, $33 to get in right now. I'll choose 5 people. The first 5 people to comment below, I did this before. The first 5 people to comment below, I will give you a $33 ticket on Party Poker. Just let me know that you're first, and I'll get in touch with you. I did this a few weeks ago, and I still need 2 of you to respond to me. Please, respond to me, please. If you guys don't know what a satellite is basically a smaller buy-in tournament where you don't need to finish first. You can finish top 10, top 20, depending on how many people enter the tournament, and then you win an entry ticket to a higher buy-in event. It's actually how I played the $25,000 pop in Omaha event at the World Series of Poker. I played one of these $800 satellites of the World Series, won that. Didn't really know the hell I was doing, but then I got into the 25K PLO event and did well on that too. So, and usually what I've noticed in these satellites, people have no idea what they're doing. So it's kind of sick value to play if you can. We got our man Yao. All right, Ike, you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready for another guessing contest?
What do I need to be ready for here?
Okay, I'm going to get you ready for it, okay? So let me make sure you understand the action. Yao min raises under the gun. Zhao. Okay. My man Pim has ace-king suited, ace-king offsuit in the small blind. Ike, what do you think he goes ahead and do?
If he jammed the last one.
What do you think he does here? They're about 45 big blinds deep.
This time, like, jamming this one seems kind of fine.
Okay, you're fine with a jam here?
Yeah, it's an earlier position open. They have a stronger range, and you're in the small blind rather than the big blind here, so you have to be... You can't, like, make a polar 3-bet with some really good hands and some really bad hands and force a lot of continues the way you can when you're last act from the big blind. So, yeah, I really don't even mind a jam here, though I would still prefer a smaller 3-bet, I think, but...
I can't see Ike putting the 45 big blind jam here in the small blind personally if I'm watching you play, but
yeah, probably not.
My man Pim, this guy, I like this guy. Listen, this is the guy that hates ace king. And if you hate ace king out there at home too, maybe you consider jamming it in pre-flop, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you get called by the ace queen sometimes, the ace jack suited sometimes.
Maybe you get called by ace 10.
Maybe you get called by ace 10, Ike. I mean, listen, the guys from Brazil, sometimes we know the Brazilian guys are a little, they like to maybe call a bit too wide pre-flop sometimes, man. It's a reputation Brazilians have. Americans certainly have that reputation too. I know some crazy American guys out there, man. The American players are a little bit nuts. Not the Americans that you find on these sites, but the Americans you find on the American sites. They're a little nuts, man. My man Manig up there, pocket sixes, hopping in the mix. Okay. I don't know what the hell to expect from this Pim guy. I mean, 2 ace king offshoot, just jam all ins there from this guy. This guy's a crazy guy here. So pocket sixes from Manig. Let's see what happens here. Daniel Smyth folds the ace deuce offsuit. Pedro Marquez, I like this guy already. Do you know what flag that's from without me telling you, Mike?
I believe it's Croatia?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's Croatia too, yeah. Yeah. It's a great flag. A real powerful flag.
It is a nice flag.
Got the nice pattern with the symbol inside of it too. It's a nice flag. So Manig, oh, Ike, oh, baby. Okay. Manig flops the set. Watch this. This is a pretty crazy hand, buddy. So
Pedro's got a big hand here as well, so I see how this is going to get out of hand.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't expect this when I first tell you how this hand gets wild, but Pedro has the backdoor straight draw here. Very rare. Yep. I mean, listen, to have a backdoor straight draw, not a very strong hand. I hate to tell you guys at home, but he does have 2 overs, and he has faced an early position raise. Manig can have ace king, ace queen, obviously too. This is a good board.
Quite the worst hand he could have here because he doesn't have a deuce.
Yeah. So he does check raise, and Manig calls. They are pretty deep here. So let's talk about this check raise. Obviously, he's check raising because this is theoretically a better range for the big blind, or a range that does hit the big blind's range. Therefore, Manig's going to have to bet fold a lot of his high card hands that don't have a pair in it.
Yeah, I mean, Manig should check fairly frequently for that reason. I don't think just going nuts with Jack 10 here is a great play.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to have a much worse hand than Jack 10 on this board. You do have the backdoor straight draw, but
we could have deuce 10. We could have deuce 10. I mean, listen, we have deuce 10.
Yeah, I mean,
you're right. This is one of the worst
hands
hands you can have, right? Yeah.
Anything lower than Jack 10 is going to interact with the 7-6 a little more. Anything higher than Jack 10 is going to have some more high card value. I would just let this one go and wait for nearly anything else.
Yeah, well, my man Pedro turns the jack, and he's got to be, I mean, when your opponent does bet call here, you're probably putting them on an overpair, sometimes a high card float. Of course, it could have 8-9 as well, too. So now you are beating some hands.
There's 2x pot to play, and you've turned top pair. You've got a pretty big hand.
And he is going to go ahead and bet. He's going to bet 2.9 million chips into about 7 million chips. And now Manig has a decision. Does he go with it here, or does he just call? And there is a lot of chips behind, but he does just ship it in here, Ike. And what do you think about that play?
That's a strange play to me. I think his hand is too strong to do that. I would just call.
Just call? Yeah, I mean...
You're in position with... I mean, you don't have 100% equity. Your opponent could have out sometimes, but your hand is by a lot strong enough to call off or even raise over a bet, put all the money in on the river on 100% of rivers.
Right.
So, yeah, I would call and leave the other guy room to bluff here.
Right. So this hand's just too strong, you think, to raise the turn, or
yeah?
Because I mean, his theory, his thought process. I just want to. I mean, clearly, right. I want to get the money in now. I think this guy's got a strong hand. I don't think he's bluffing me, and if he's bluffing me, he probably won't bluff the river. So if he's got a strong hand now, I don't want a bad river card to come and potentially kill my action.
Yeah, I mean, I see where he's coming from. And, maybe if you have been playing with this guy for a while and really think he's got something he's going to go with here, you just put it in right away before something bad can happen on the river. But
yeah. Which is a normal thing a lot of poker players think, right? They see this flush draw turn and they go, oh, shit. If another club comes, I'm going to lose action on my hand. So let me just try to get all the money in here because he check raised me. He's telling me he's got a strong hand. He bet the turn when my hand looks strong, telling me he's got a strong hand. So let me go. It's a normal decision. All poker players end up in this kind of spot all the time. So I think it's important to kind of think more about though and to consider. So Pedro now, I mean, you turn your top pair, but are you really going to call it off here for 30 some more big blinds with two other short stacks?
I kind of think you have to. I don't see how you can play the hand this way to this point and then just fold. Well,
if he does call, Ike, he's going to be 0% here, so he better find a fold, right? So he's still going to be left with a lot of chips. 38 big blinds, still a ton of room to play. There's 3 other short stacks in here too, which has to matter. There is the bounty potentially as well, and he is going to cover Manig, so he could potentially win Manig's bounty.
Yep.
This is the problem you do when you check raise the Jack 10. I mean, this is kind of the situation that happens sometimes.
The best card in the deck by a lot.
Right. And he does lay it down, Ike. So Pedro finds the fold there, and he's still alive in the tournament. Manig is going to be up to 50 big blinds, and he's near our chip leader right now.
Yeah, I guess the whole thing is consistent. If you think you're going to blow Manig off of anything except a great hand, then check raising the flop is attractive. And if you still think that on the turn, then maybe you can bet and fold when he sticks it in. If you just, think if he has pocket nines, you're just going to win the hand by raising the flop and betting the turn when an overcard comes, then sure, now that you've turned top pair and you bet and get jammed on, I guess you don't like your hand.
Yeah.
that's not how I would expect the spot to play out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, very. Like I said, we're seeing some different line. I mean, last week these are your night and day final tables here, and our Irishman here with Jack 10 suited on the short stack here. He is, I imagine, is going to shove. Ryan Riess actually has 8 big blinds too, so we're going to see a little short stack on short stack violence. We know in these tournaments, early stages, we got to see people eliminated. This is kind of how it works. So world champ, my man Ryan Riess, pocket 7, is going to be coin flipping here with Daniel Smyth. Flop comes down all clubs, and that's not good. He's got a backdoor quad draw. Not a good position. Oh, he needs a 7 or a 6. Huh? Now river's a deuce. Ryan Riess, unfortunately, is going to be eliminated. The world champ goes down swinging. And yeah, he's eliminated in 7th place. Now we're down to 6. They're going fast and furious right now, too. I think we're going to see a graphic change. So we can kind of see payouts there. Ryan Riess, 7th place, takes home $29,000 plus $18,000 in bounties. Not bad. Check it in with the Party Poker leaderboard for the World Poker Tour Player of the Series. We got my girl Kristen Bicknell, recent podcast guest, Party Poker sponsored pro. She's in first place by a nice margin right now. Up top in that is a nice cash prize, $50,000 for first place. We'll be following along with Kristen to see if she can pull this one out.
Yeah, they're doing good work with the
only complaint we're getting is from they can't tell there's chips, right? So like Artur raises to 3 million and people can't see. There's no chip. They're just used to chips moving. So some people had.
Right. It doesn't look quite like a poker client normally
right, exactly.
would.
So Artur's got ace 10 offsuit. Essentially going all in. I mean, he makes a 3.2 million and it's a pretty big raise. So he's basically shoving all in.
Yeah, I don't know what this is meant to do other than. That would be any different from shoving. Yeah. I don't see what action he ever folds to after this, but sometimes it's fun to drag the slider only halfway and then get to do some more clicking later.
Yeah, Artur's going to be at risk here. Pedro can win a bounty, plus eliminate a fearsome Russian player here. King 5 deuce board. Artur's going to need an ace or a 10 or a queen on the river to stay alive. River comes down. It's a 5 of diamonds, and Artur's going to be eliminated there. Unfortunately, in 6th place. And just like that, Pedro is going to chip up a little bit. So we got some nice stacks here kind of forming here. Down to 5-handed. I'm going to have to edit these out later. I'm just editing this out. So Artur takes down 47,000, as you guys can see there. 16,000 in bounties. And we move along to the next action here. Let's pick it up here. Okay, boom. All right, Pedro's got pocket 9s, raises it up. Blinds are up to 250 to 500K, so it's a little bit above min raise, 1.1.
Mm-hmm.
Manig's going to go ahead call with the ace-8 offsuit. He is on the button, in position.
Mm-hmm.
Could 3-bet.
A little bit of a loose call, but
yeah,
he does cover.
Oh my God.
He's wanting to get in there and mix it up a little extra. Just you're not going to bust the guy and collect the bounty all that often here, but it's a little extra incentive to play the pot.
Ike, are you ready for some crazy hand right now? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is the Ike and Joey crazy hand of the week, okay? So pay attention. I'm putting some background music in, and we're changing this up. So my man Zhao flops top pair, 6 kicker. Pedro has middle set. Manig has top pair, and this gets nuts. So Pedro is going to go ahead, continuation bet. Races pre-flop in the cutoff, 5-handed, continuation bets, 1.4 million chips. Manig's going to call, and our man Zhao has ace-6 in the big blind. You'd think he might check call, but he decides he's feeling frisky. He's going to check raise it up here. Very
this
small
play
raise.
looks unintuitive, but it's not the craziest thing. You get somebody to fold a gut shot or something here. That's a pretty big win. Mm-hmm. You can just put a little raise in, and then if they continue, just check the turn and figure it out from there. He's only risking an extra 2.1 million into a pot that's already 7.5. So
right, so not the worst play. So Pedro's going to call here with the pot with the set of 9s. He's probably wondering what the hell does this guy have. I mean, if the guy had it, when the guy check raises you here for value, what do you think the opponent could have? Ace 9, ace jack, jack 9, Jacks and aces 3-bet pre-flop. Most ace-jack suiteds might 3-bet pre-flop as well, too. So
Yeah. I mean, it's going to mostly be 2 pairs here. Then, like, 2 pairs, semi-bluffs, and, like, maybe a smattering of hands about this strength, a weaker ace.
well, the turn's going to come down, and it's going to be a 6. So he turns the top and bottom pair.
Yep.
And this looks like it's going to spell good night for our man from Brazil right there.
Yeah, there's only 1.5x pot to play here, and now you've got a huge hand. If I'm Drow, I'm just looking to, bet about half pot here and put the rest in for half pot on the river.
Right.
But that is not his plan. He checks it.
Well, Ike, listen, this was Ike and Joey's crazy hand of the week. So Zhao is now going to check. So, I mean, when your opponent does call you there, he calls check raise, I'm thinking he's got an ace king, ace queen, ace 10, some straight draws, queen 10 as well, too. Maybe king 10 as well, 8, 10, those type of hands. So
yeah,
I would be
or
looking
even
to bet
king
here.
jack, queen jack, pocket kings, pocket queens. A bet and a raise went in on the flop, but they were both for pretty small sizes. I don't think ranges have gotten all that narrow here.
Right. So Pedro bets 3.6 million chips into about 12 million. So it's a little under 1/3 pot. And Zhao is just going to check call.
I'd probably have just put it in, but calling's all right too.
Yeah. And the river is, they have a little less than a pot size bet. The pot's 19 million chips. Zhao has 14 million chips. So I don't see how he can ever get away from this.
No, I wouldn't even be thinking about it.
I would never be able to fold.
Very excited to call if I check and face a shove here.
So let's see what happens here. Pedro Marquez has a set of 9s. He gets check raised. He bets the turn, gets called. He probably doesn't know what the hell his opponent has right now. So he's going to go ahead shove, and Zhao is going to go into the tank here. And he is going to make, debatably, one of the best folds that I've ever recorded on a video. And now we're being very results orientated in saying that, but because we can see the cards. But this guy's going to lay this hand down, Ike. And I don't know what this dude was thinking. I need to get in touch with this guy and ask him, like, what were you doing, buddy? Because this is one of the craziest hands I've seen and how it went. Check raise, check call 2-pair, check fold river.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think the guy's never bluffing, I think you're reasonably likely to beat a value bet there. That's a really big fold.
Right. I mean, that's I don't know, man. That I'd be like, if I saw that hand, I'd be trying to like call up security and say this dude's cheating me or something like that, because that's like the craziest thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know what went down there.
That's a really wild hand.
We can see chip stacks here. Daniel Smyth, the short stack, 18 million. Pedro goes in chip lead after that big hand. He's up to 73 big blinds there. Manig, Pim, Zhao, they're yeah, dude, I don't know what was going on there. I checked back that hand 4 times, right? I'm like, it is what it is. We got a lot of diamonds up here. All right, Pedro Marquez, 7-2 of diamonds. What is he going to do? He's going to raise it up pre-flop here. He's going to make it about 3.5x. Little unorthodox kind of play with the 7 deuce of suited.
Yeah, it's not the wildest thing. I mean, you're certainly going to play the hand. I'd limp it a lot more than I raised it, but you cover the guy. It's both a bounty tournament and a final table. Putting some pressure on makes some sense.
Yeah. Well, Manig 3-bets here, ace queen suited. And Ike, what do you think Pedro does here?
I would fold. I'm guessing Pedro does something other than fold.
Well,
if you made me do something other than fold.
Okay. Well, we got to keep you balanced over there, kid. We got to keep you balanced over there.
That's a relief. I'm happy for Pedro that he found that fold.
I wanted to freak you out a little bit there. I'm like, what do you think he does now? You're like, does he really go all in here? Like, what's going on? No, he does fold. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the hero call. Ace Jack offsuit here for Zhao. He's gonna ship it in here.
Yeah, I like that shove.
22 big blinds. Manig King Jack hearts. He does call.
I think that's a good call.
We're gonna see Zhao at risk here. Flops ace 10 6. Zhao's got the lead. Manig's gonna need a queen or a queen only to eliminate Yao and take home that bounty. River comes down to 4, and just like that, Zhao's back in the mix. He doubles up there to 45 big blinds. You like that play for Manig? You think King Jack suited, min raise, call off, 22 big blinds, pretty standard?
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
I mean, given that you cover by a good bit and it is a bounty tournament, I think you're going to have to call off that hand.
Right, so maybe in a non-bounty you might fold, but in a bounty structure where you can maybe take home an extra $12,000 for eliminating the guy, you call.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So he's still alive there, man. Daniel here on the short stack, still fighting it off. Pedro, we can see this guy Pedro comes to play hands. I like this guy's style.
Mm-hmm.
Jack 9 offsuit for Manig, goes a limp in. You're going to see a lot of this small blind versus big blind. The small blind limps in. They play a lot of hands. Ike, you're probably playing most of your hands from the small blind, I'm assuming.
Yeah, 80-some% or whatever.
Yeah.
Give or take, depending on stacks and stuff.
My man Pim's got the 9 deuce offsuit. He's going to isolate here.
I think that's a fine play occasionally.
Makes a pretty big raise, and Manig's going to call. So it's about a 3.5x raise pre-flop, and Manig goes limps call. Flops Jack 8-4. Manig flops top pair. Pim's got the backdoor straight draw, a couple backdoor trip draws, and a backdoor flush draw.
I think better check here are both fine.
So if you're Manig and you face a bet here, are you thinking about just check calling with the top pair 9 kicker, or what do you think about doing here? So he does face a bet, about 2.8 million chips, and Manig has a decision to make.
This feels like a pretty good hand to call with. I think you have about the right hand strength to almost always be calling here. I think I'd want a better kicker to raise most of the time. I don't think raising would be crazy, but
standard
this
maybe
feels
just check
like
call.
Usually a check call.
Okay. Well, Manig here is going to decide that he does not like a check call option. So he's got about 29. I mean, they're pretty deep stacked here, right?
Yeah.
Check raise here for all of it seems pretty wild. So he's going to be in the tank. Maybe he is thinking he doesn't want.
That's a relatively large bet from Pim as well. He went over half pot, right?
Yeah, 2.8. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that also tips me more towards calling. I'd be more interested in raising like a third pot bet.
Why is that? Why is that?
It just shows less strength. The larger bet is just going to be a hand that beats Jack 9 more often than a smaller bet would be.
Well, Manig does.
Oh, and he just rips it in.
Yeah, he just goes all in.
That's a strange play. If I raised, I would choose a smaller size than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just decides. I mean, you're not folding out better here, right? I mean, maybe you could.
No,
you
this is for value. This is not a bluff.
Okay, so you're trying to get it all in against maybe pocket. I mean, a flush draw, right? That's about it, right? A flush draw.
Jack 5.
Jack 5, maybe.
I mean,
yeah.
Him can easily have a worse Jack here, right? He's got 9-2 off. He can definitely have Jack 5, Jack 3.
So maybe he
King
thinks,
8, 8-5, like that. He can have all kinds of worse hands here. I don't know how often he's going to call them other than... I mean, I can't really see folding a worse Jack if I'm Pim, but other than that...
So maybe his thought process is that this guy is playing pretty wide pre-flop and might be overcalling with some draws and with some weaker jacks and maybe even a strong 8 and maybe something like pocket 10. So that might be the reason that might lean you towards check jamming here if you're Manig.
Right, you could even be hoping to get called by like Queen 10, Queen 9. Those hands are not absurd to call with because they are beating most of the semi-bluffs Manig could put it in with.
Okay.
And have, fine equity even against Jack 9, and there are the bounties to consider. So I can see how Manig would think he might get called by a reasonable number of unpaired hands here. Queen 10, Queen 9, 10, 9. Any flush draw queen high or better is going to almost certainly have to call off. So, yeah, I can see how he can think he's getting called by quite a few worse hands here. I still don't think I like this size more than a small one, but
we can kind of understand where he's coming from with it, though.
Yeah, and, you know, it's shallow enough, and it was a pretty big c-bet that, you know, if you make a small raise, you're mostly going with the hands that you make that raise with, so just sticking it in right away is not actually that different, even though it does feel a bit deep to be making that play.
Pedro raises it up king-queen offsuit here. Looks like our man Daniel Smyth in the big blind is going to have ace-10 offsuit, so I imagine he's going to be all in here.
For less than 10 bigs, yeah, putting it in looks pretty nice to me, and clearly Pedro's not folding.
This guy is not the kind of guy that folds king-queen offsuit, no.
Daniel Smyth has a really big bounty, you can see.
Yeah, Daniel Smyth has one of the biggest bounties still available, $24,000. Turns to 6, so Daniel going to need to avoid a king or a queen to stay alive here. River comes down, it's a 4, so Daniel's still alive. You're still in the mix, buddy. I mean, this guy's really been grinding out the short stack here, Ike.
Yeah.
We've seen him. We didn't really have many chips. I kind of saw a little bit of play from him at the beginning, but he's been hanging around there, man. Been doing a good job of it. A7 here for Pedro. Once again in the mix. This is a guy that likes to play hands.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a loose open, but nothing too wild.
Oh, boy. Okay. Okay. Manig calls the ace-queen of hearts here. Pim's got pocket sixes in the button. He's obviously not folding. He's going to go ahead and call, too. And now Daniel Smyth is in the big blind with 19 big blinds. He faces an under-the-gun raise, a call, and he needs to call about 700,000 more chips. Obviously, you're calling here, right? But do you ever raise here?
That's what I would do. I don't think so. I don't think I would even in an ordinary tournament. I think you just need a better hand than this to shove in a spot where you are extremely likely to be called by one of these players. But
he goes all in.
Especially in a bounty where you're like virtually certain to be called here.
Yeah, well, he does ship it in, Ike.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a mistake.
And then Manig is going to be calling ace-queen suited. He's obviously going to be ecstatic to see the results here. So Manig has a big bounty to win. Daniel is going to need a deuce. And the flop comes down 8-3 deuce. So Daniel does outflop the ace-queen of hearts here. He's going to need to avoid a queen.
Sometimes fortune favors the bold.
That's true. Well, listen, the 4 or the queen here, the 4 he chops it on, the queen he loses it on. River's at 9, and just like that, Daniel Smyth is going to double up with the ace-10 is suited, or ace-deuce suited, rather, sorry. And he's still going to be alive. You're right. Fortune does favor the bold sometimes. So just like that, Daniel goes to the chip lead. There you go.
Yeah.
That's how these tournaments can go sometime. Man, that's so tilting. I'd be so tilted if I'm Manig. You pick up that spot. The guy's got ace-deuce. The flop's a deuce.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, man. Those are always brutal kind of situations to be in. I mean, those happen in your final tables. You got to win those sometimes to be able to win tournaments. Sometimes you get it in bad, and you got to get lucky. That's how the things go. So we can see Zhao here with the 9-7 of clubs, raises up pre-flop on the button. Pedro flops the open and a straight flush
Big
draw.
For Pedro.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Flop goes check, check.
Yep.
Turn's going to be the king of clubs. So both players turn flush draws. No one has anything really right now. Pedro's got 5 high. Zhao's got 9 high. So both of these guys got a whole bunch of nothing, but they got a lot of improvement potentially for their hands here.
Mm-hmm.
And Zhao's going to bet about 1/4 pot, 1/3 pot. Pedro has a hand that you're never folding.
Yeah, call or you can raise here. I think I would more often raise. You know, you have a huge hand, but you only have 5 high.
All right. Well, he elects to call Ike,
Oh.
and he sees the good news on the river. It's the 6 of spades. He makes the straight
If
flush.
I knew I was going to make a straight flush on the river, I wouldn't want to give my opponent a chance to fold. So I see where he's coming from here.
Well, now he's going to give his opponent a chance to bluff. And Zhao has one of the worst hands possible right now. He's got the 9 high. I mean, he does check back, though. He does not decide to bluff here. And thank God for him, because he soul reads my man Pedro, and Pedro shows down the straight flush, and he wins a little pot there. Kind of skip ahead here. Blinds went up. Stack sizes went down. These 5 are still battling for a while here, Ike. They were in the mix here, man. These guys were mixing up. A7 offset here for Pim. Daniel Smith's got queen 3 offsuit here. I'm assuming something crazy happens, otherwise I would edit this hand out. But I don't know exactly what crazy kind of thing can happen here. He does 3-bet with the 4 to 4.6 million, and
Sure.
Pim lays it down just like that. So you can see Daniel, he's got a lot of speed to him, man. He's got some game to him now that he's got a little bit of chips here. This could be it for Pedro Marquez, ace-jack offsuit on the button.
Yeah, ace-jack, ace-queen, 17 big blinds. I think the money's going to go in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see how you avoid that, right, with this stack size. He does make a little bit of a min-raise. Manig has a pretty easy shove all in, ace-queen offsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And ace-jack offsuit just too strong to fold here, right?
Oh, yeah, no consideration.
Yeah. And Pedro's going to be at risk. He's been fun to watch so far, but he's going to need a jack to stay alive. Flops 10-7 deuce, backdoor diamonds, backdoor straight draw, or a jack for Pedro. Queen on the turn. He's going to need a king. River comes down to 9 of diamonds, just like that. Pedro Marquez eliminated in 5th place. Manig Loeser goes into our chip lead. And shout out to Pedro. It was fun to watch him play, man. He certainly came to play, came to mix it up. Was not a big fan of folding, and unfortunately ran into the ace-queen there. You can see Pedro took down $66,000 plus a $22K bounty, which...
not a bad day.
Not bad at all. Listen, man, $32 buy-in. Not bad at all. We don't know if he qualified in for the satellite or not. So, but we still have our satellite qualifier, Daniel Smyth, in here. He got into the $33 one, so he's still alive. Zhao also qualified by winning a $22 tournament. So, I mean, it's kind of sick you can win these small satellites like for $33. I think next week they're having one, what they say, that's going to be a $33 buy-in. They're giving away 100 seats for the mini main event, which is pretty cool. The mini main event's a $1,000 event, so they're gonna need. I mean, they're gonna need a lot of players to fill that up. Otherwise, they're gonna be breaking the guarantee though. Small blind versus big blind. He makes a small raise, doesn't shove all in here pre-flop. Pim's got ace-7 offsuit. I don't think he's gonna fold here, so he does go all in. Manig easy call, and Pim's gonna be at risk here.
This looks well played from both sides. Manig could just stick it in right away and get the same result, but
either way,
is a fine approach.
Either way, it's going all in, right?
Yep.
Ace 4-3 board. Pim's gonna need a 7 or a backdoor straight to stay alive here. He's gonna need a 7 and a 7 only, or he is eliminated. 9 on the river. Pim is gonna be eliminated. 4th place. Takes home a pretty nice chunk of money, and we're just like that. We're gonna be down to three of the best here. Listen, man, Ireland, Brazil, and Manig. Is Manig really from the United Kingdom? I could have swore I thought he was German, but
he's German, but I think he is living in the UK now.
Okay.
A lot of Germans move to the UK because they have more favorable tax treatment for poker.
yeah, it makes sense.
A lot of the German-born poker players are either living in the UK or Austria now.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's why like Fedor lives in Austria, and a lot of the good German regs they live there. That makes sense. Yeah. So here we go, 3-handed, couple deep stacks. Manig, our chip leader, 80 big blinds. Zhao, the short stack, 20 big blinds. Daniel Smyth from Ireland, 42 big blinds. He's going to start us off by limping in on the button with ace-queen suited. Unorthodox, but I don't know what the hell this guy's got up his sleeve, Ike. So I'm expecting anything from our man here. He limp calls ace-queen suited.
Sure.
Man has got queen jack. Flop comes down 10-4-3, and no one's got a whole bunch of nothing here.
I mean, ace queen with a backdoor flush draw is
That's a good hand.
a bit more than nothing. I'm excited about having ace queen high and
Ike's like,
two-card backdoor flush
you
draw.
see ace queen here, you're like, oh my god, what do you mean nothing? This is a powerhouse flop for
I
ace
mean,
queen.
the board has a 3 and a 4 on it, and it probably doesn't have any of that. I'm pretty stoked about my ace queen.
You're a crazy guy, buddy. Ace queen 10-4-3. The 5 on the turn. You're probably like beyond.
Now we have flush draw too.
Yeah, beyond belief right now. You turn a straight draw and a backdoor flush draw here.
Bet for value and hope they raise.
Well, he does check back.
I mean, that's fine as well. I don't think it's a clear bet by any means.
River's an 8, and now listen, ace queen officially is nothing on the river. All right.
That's a lot of low cards on the board.
I mean, maybe not.
We have a second nut, no pair.
Well, let's see what happens here. So Manig has about the worst hand possible right now with the Queen Jack. Yeah. And he ships it all in.
Reasonable enough.
Okay. Ace Queen snap folds. Manig takes it down.
Yeah.
Strange hand.
Yeah, strange hand. I mean, I don't really know exactly what to expect the button open limp to look like there, but I think they both had strong hands. A bunch of money went in. Manig ended up with a fine hand to bluff the river with. Went for the bluff and it worked.
Sometimes it's about who's got the most heart, man.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Zhao, he's going to be all in here. Ace 4 suited. He's going to be all in at risk against Daniel Smyth. 10-5, 8 flop. Going to need an ace or running spades. Turns an 8. River, ace, and an ace only. We'll save him. River's a 9, and just like that, Zhao Morelli from Brazil, the cool-looking guy with those 6 shades, he's going to be eliminated in 3rd place. And Daniel Smyth, our satellite qualifier, is going to be playing heads up for the title against the experienced veteran Manig Loeser. $200,000 for both players right now, but the number one, the bounty winner, is going to win an additional about $140,000 difference. So, all right, Ike, there's some crazy hands that happen in this one too. So let's kind of get into the action. So Daniel limps in pocket deuces. Chooses not to raise that hand. Manig's going to check back with the Queen 9 offsuit. We know that last week's heads-up match between Nick Petrangelo and did you know the guy last week, he had to drive, he was in Belarus, and the internet went out due to some sort of like government restriction, so he had to drive to another country with his wife in order to play day 2 and day 3 of that event.
I saw this on Twitter after we made the video. Yeah, crazy story. I mean, all hell is breaking loose in Belarus right now. And yeah, he played day 1 from home, and then the government took the internet down, and he had to go to, I think, Kiev, right?
Yeah, he went to Kiev, and they were like bouncing around from hotel to hotel or something like that. And
I mean, that's insane.
Shout out to his wife. I mean, listen, your wife's like, come on, let's go, let's get out of here, right? I mean, that's we got a crazy.
Yeah, what a hero.
Yeah, we got a crazy hand brewing here. So Daniel raised on the flop. Manig led the flop with the gutter.
Manig led and Daniel raised.
Yep, Daniel raised.
Okay.
Manig called. Turn, Manig makes a pair. He's going to go ahead, check call. And the river here pots 19 million chips. Daniel's got 26.6 million in his stack. See what size he goes with here.
Would usually go with all of it. Yeah, that seems like the right amount.
And he does. And now Manig, I mean, so Manig here has to be thinking, what does his opponent have? Could, of course, have, I mean, when he raises the flop, what is he saying that he has? Flush draws, king jack, king deuce,
I mean,
jack deuce.
Any king with a decent kicker, I think, is good enough to raise a lead there and limp check. He could, easily have any draw. It's heads up. You can be bluffing the flop with a pretty weak hand here. I don't think it would be crazy to just have, any ace or a pair of twos with whatever, or 9-8 of spades. Like, you can raise the flop with a lot of stuff here.
Well, now Manig has a decision. He's facing an overbet on the river. He's got second pair. He does have 1 diamond in his hand too. He's got a 9 in his hand.
Yeah, he's gonna beat any bluff. Having the 9 to block 10-9 is not the worst. I think. I mean, obviously, he'd rather have a king that's going to block more value bets than a queen would, but I don't think calling here is particularly crazy if you think the guy is liable to bluff.
Well, I think that's what Manig's going to do here. I think he's thinking, this guy's got a flush draw. He missed. And he does stick it in. He calls. And just like that, Daniel Smyth is going to go to our chip leader. He's going to be up at 103 big blinds. And Manig is going to be the one that's fighting for his life here. So he's going to limp in next hand with the 8 deuce offsuit. Daniel Smith's going to check the 7 deuce offsuit here. you can see Manig, and you can see a lot of these heads-up matches, players are going to be playing every hand from the button, whether they limp or raise. They're very rarely folding. That's pretty standard, right, amongst the best players, like?
Yeah, in heads-up no limit with an ante, you play basically every hand from the button until stacks get pretty short. And
hello.
There's the cat in the way.
Hello.
And there he goes.
Our third person in the booth, the cat. Hello, cat. Hello. So we got a little action here. Manig has 2 pair with the 8 deuce. Daniel's going to bet the turn with the bottom pair in the blocker.
What happened on the flop here?
I'm going to rewind it here. Yeah, bet
check call, and then Daniel comes out leading on the turn.
Yeah, Daniel check called flop and leads turn, correct, yeah.
He picks up a gut shot. Sure.
So Manig calls the bet on the turn. River's going to be an 8, and Manig's going to make a full house. Daniel, a little bit of something. He's going to bet pretty big here. He bets near pot. A little under pot here, so he bets 6.7 million chips.
That's a strange play.
Yeah, I don't know if he's bluffing here or what.
It has to be a bluff, right?
Right. I mean, trying to get your opponent off a 6 potentially here. But
I guess, or I mean, maybe he's even hoping to get him off a 10.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Or a better deuce, for that matter. I mean, your kicker doesn't play, but jack deuce or better does. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird line from Daniel.
Well, Manig raises with the full house, and he's going to win a little bit more chips there. So not bad.
Yep.
Ace-Jack suited here for Daniel. He's going to raise it up 2 million. Blinds are 400, 800. Manig's going to defend 7-5 offsuit here. Flop comes down. Bingo. 8-4-6 all spades. Daniel has a nut flush draw. Manig has a straight, and I think we're going to see some action here. Daniel's going to bet.
Yep.
Yeah,
flop for both players.
Right. Pretty normal is to end up getting all the money in here. Even if you are that deep, 45 big blinds, you're never folding. I mean, if you get check raise here with ace-jack suited, are you ever just calling, or are you always just going to go all in?
I would mostly call. I don't think you want to just put it in, really. You're way ahead of the stuff that will fold if you put more money in, and you're never really getting called by worse. So I would mainly just call here. But he has a huge hand.
Right. I mean,
it's not like it's a big mistake to just keep raising.
Right, and he does do that. He ships it in. Obviously, Manig is super excited right now, hoping the guy's got to overpair or something like that, and you got him pretty much drawing stone dead. Unfortunately, Daniel does have a flush draw. He's going to need a spade, and he'll be our World Poker Tour champion here today, Ike. Turns of 4. A spade and a spade only are going to send him to the victory circle. River's a king, and just like that, Manig is back in our chip lead, and Daniel Smyth is on our short stack now. 35 big blinds to 95 big blinds, and this match is going back and forth here, Ike.
Yeah, it was a big pot.
Yeah, that was a real big pot right there. And Daniel immediately ships in the king 10 offsuit next hand here. He's going to be at risk against the pocket 8s. Flops a king. He's going to need to avoid an 8. I mean, these two are just battling back and forth here, swinging haymakers. Turns a 10.
Yep.
Manig needs an 8. Take it down. River's a 3. Just like that. Manig still
about even.
They're about even. Okay, we got something brewing here. These guys are fast and furious. 5-4 offsuit next hand. Raises it up on the button. Pocket 6s calls. I don't know how the hell this one gets very crazy. I'm pretty sure it does, though. Manig flops the second pair. 2 Asian bets. Daniel calls. Normal so far, right?
Yeah.
8 on the turn for Daniel. Still got the best hand, the pocket 6s. He checks it. Manig could be thinking about betting again. Get some value from a deuce, some club draws, ace highs, straight draws. You like it?
Not so much.
Not so much.
I'd rather have a better kicker to bet a 5 there. And the third pot size there is pretty weird. I think you mostly want to just have a better hand or a bluff and bet bigger than that. But just bet exactly what your hand is worth. Hope you don't get raised. Check behind the river. It's a little bit of a greedy play, but I could see it working out a lot of the time.
Greedy play. I like that word. Greedy play. I like that. Well, the river's an 8 here. Going to go backdoor trip. Does get there if anyone had an 8. I imagine both players don't love their hand, but they don't hate their hand as well, too, here. They have a nice 2-pair hand. Daniel, I don't know what he's doing right now. He's tanking. Well, Daniel is going to lead the river here for 3.7, and this is a very sick value bet.
That.
Yeah, I mean, so Manig, if you're in Manig's spot here, your opponent check calls, leads the river. You know, most times your opponent's going to have a missed straight draw, flush draw. It's kind of normal thing you see here.
Exactly, yeah. It's really easy for Daniel to have all kinds of unpaired hands here.
Right, and so Daniel's going to make some nice value. I mean, not a bet a lot of players might have made there. So he does bet small on the river. He gets called by Manig, and Daniel's going to be in our chip lead now. Just like that. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty nice play there. I think a lot of players might have just went and go ahead and check call the river there too. So 10-6 offsuit, raising it up here from Daniel. This guy's played a match here, Ike. They went back and forth for a while.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for one side, one of them started taking control pretty hard here. So Daniel raises up 10-6, flops bottom pair. He's going to go ahead continuation bet. Manig has 8-5 offsuit. Whole bunch of nothing here. He goes ahead, check raises.
That's a strange play.
Daniel check. Daniel's going to raise call, bet call. What do you think about that play, Ike?
I think I would probably like to have 2 overs to the 6, or if I were gonna go for it with an under to the 6, maybe a backdoor flush draw or something. I think you can just go ahead and fold the 8-5.
Fold the 8-5. I mean, you got the backdoor straight draw. Listen, the 7.
He does have the backdoor
come.
straight draw.
I mean, hey, we got something. What do you think about the 10-6 call? Immediately calls the 10-6 call.
I would call it the 10-6.
You're not folding 10-6.
Folding pairs on the flop and heads up no limit.
Okay. Remind me not to check raise bluff Ike with the 8-5, and he's not folding his fucking 6 versus me. So Manig does check the turn, and Daniel's going to bet again, bets 4.8 on the turn, and Manig folds pretty quickly. So just like that, Daniel Smyth. And now he kind of blind. Basically what happens is they play for about 15 minutes, and Daniel wins every single pot. He blinds them down completely, and Manig's on our short stack now down to 14 big blinds. So he didn't win any hands from about that 40 to 20. It's just all small pots, just kept losing and losing them. So Daniel has the aggression, has the initiative, has the momentum on his side. Takes down another small pot there with the king deuce suited.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how these heads up matches go sometimes, right?
Yeah. You just get 6 high nothing, a bunch of hands in a row, and suddenly you've lost a lot of chips.
Right. I mean, nothing you can do sometimes. So Manig does shovel in here with the 7-8 suited. Daniel is going to be calling here with the king-9 offsuit in order to win the tournament. A hell of a comeback from him. I mean, started off as our shorts. Yeah, he's on the short stack multiple times. He was hanging in there. He got all in with the ace-deuce suited versus the ace-queen suited of Manig. So he's going to go ahead and call here, and he's going to be up to try to win the tournament right now. Flop comes down ace-10-4. Not a good flop for Manig. He needs a 7 or an 8, or he's going to be eliminated in second place. Turns a 9, so he now needs a jack or a 6, or he's eliminated. River's a 4, and just like that, our man from Ireland, Daniel Smyth, takes down the tournament, $204,000 plus an additional $200,000 in bounties. Manig's eliminated in last place. We saw some interesting play happen here. Didn't you think from Daniel? He certainly mixed it up.
Match. Daniel definitely got in there and mixed it up for sure.
I know, man.
It's fun to see somebody who, qualified through a cheap satellite and gets down there, is playing for this huge money and doesn't play scared, doesn't just try and ladder a couple more spots, just really gets in there and goes for it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this guy certainly was not a scared player. And I actually heard he was an ex-professional poker player too. So congratulations to Daniel. He, as you can see, the final payouts here, $204,000 in bounties, $208,000 first place, Manig $70,000, $208,000 for him too. So some big payouts, some nice play. Do we have a big takeaway here? My takeaway is that the bounty tournaments, the people just kind of play a little bit nuts, and maybe those strategies are going to start being different, right? The ranges widen up pre-flop, the ranges widen up on the flop, and maybe there's some interesting things to explore in terms of getting value with certain hands that maybe you couldn't get value from in a normal structure because people are incentivized to make some calls they wouldn't normally make in this structure.
For sure. Definitely see looser, more gambly final tables with the bounties in play, as opposed to being so focused on just trying to stay in the tournament, ladder up, make a few more payouts. There's a lot more incentive to play big pots and try to bust people, and it's a very different feel from a normal final table, and a much more wide open sort of game where we don't really know the exact right strategies. There are strong players with widely differing opinions on how it all works. So it's a lot of fun to watch.
That makes that makes it more fun to talk about too, because we kind of, this way, that way, ace, king, shove all in 40 big blinds, seems crazy. Maybe it isn't, right? Like, you can kind of start exploring ideas like that. And I think that's what makes the game fun. So we're going to thank Ike for joining in, tuning us with you. If you guys enjoyed the video, like the video. If you're watching this long, I'm sure you liked it. Subscribe to the channel for more final tables coming. A lot more content on the channel. Ike, we're going to see, we'll catch up with you maybe next week. We'll see how you do in your 501k games. Hopefully next week you win $1 million and you come on here up about $1 million over the last week.